All right, we got switch out the most criticized players in the NBA and why.
James Harden.
We all know why James Harden's criticized, because he's Mr. Trade Request. That's
Since
why.
leaving Houston, he's become one of the more polarizing players in the NBA. Even with
Mr.
the
Trade
Rockets,
Request.
whether it was fair or not.
He's only going to play for your team for half season or one season, then he's going to ask for a trade.
He had the reputation of being a playoff choker with some pretty underwhelming performances and some pretty big moments.
Dang.
Everything he
forgot about that one.
and how great he was in the regular season. It was only so much you can blame James Harden for specifically, especially going against teams like Golden State. But now where he is in his career with 3 messy trade requests in the last 3 years, completely abusing player empowerment and still having lackluster performances in the playoffs in the biggest moments. The heat on James Harden is really ramped up. He obviously still has the stigma of not being the most reliable playoff star. But now you can add a bit unprofessional, which you really couldn't say before. And the last 2 teams that traded for him seems to be regretting it shortly after. But James, he isn't the only one. He's just the face of criticism currently. In this video, we're going to talk about
the player empowerment.
Most criticized players in the NBA and exactly why they get
Russ, I don't get why Russ gets criticized.
They do.
He's just mad that he can't do the stuff on the court that he can do. That's why.
Sponsored by Manscaped. Today, I'm excited to present you.
Bro, why is it so dark?
Favorite new
Switch up max.
That's 20% off plus free shipping only at manscaped.com. This video was actually motivated by Paul George's podcast episode with Stephen A. I just found it very interesting to hear the player side and the media side within this relationship in sports. Both Stephen A. and Paul George, they both expressed their sides and how it feels to be criticized, how it feels to critique, what's fair and what's not. And to me, it was just a healthy conversation. I highly recommend. But Stephen A. did say something that resonated with me. In the playoffs, the critiques hit different because you have to live with them all summer. The reigning MVP, Joel Embiid, he's now become the face of this type of criticism where he's absolutely ridiculous in the regular season and routinely disappointing in the playoffs. Last year, after not winning the MVP for 2 consecutive years, we all knew he made it a point of emphasis.
He said, hey, nigga, damn.
Dominate. Hey, nigga, score Jokic in that February matchup. Score over 40 points 13 times. But in the playoffs, where your performances matter most and when you're weighed on a completely different scale, he consistently turns into a different guy. And he did that last year. He
got clamped up by an old man. Yeah, man. That's unacceptable. PJ Tucker had to yell at you. That's the only reason why they brought him to the team, so he can yell at you. And the backup center, bro. That's crazy. You getting clamped up by an old man, Al Horford. Dunk on him. I can't believe they blew that lead too, bro. They were up 3-2 at home. Tatum 0 for 12, and they still lost. Whoop-de-doo.
And when
Tatum was 0 for 12. They were up 3-2 at home. Chance to close out the series at home. Tatum hadn't hit a not shot yet. It was like going into the 4th quarter. Tatum not hit not one shot, and y'all blew it.
On a completely different scale, man. He consistently turns into a different guy, and he did that last year. Last playoffs, Joel Embiid picked Game 7, the last game, the most important game of the season, to have his worst performance of the year, regular season or the playoffs. Last postseason, Joel Embiid had the biggest point per
That's 10 points off, and B, I'll get 5, but not 10.
Game drop off by an MVP in the history of the league. Joel Embiid is the only MVP currently to never make a conference finals. Joel Embiid, historically, he's been terrible in elimination games. All of this, despite how great he is in the regular season, the MVPs, all of that, it makes him the face of playoff choke jobs currently. Ja Morant is the
we don't know why Ja gets criticized.
Example.
Because he loved it.
To somewhat of their target instantly, and really it's all been self-inflicted. In 2021, Ja won the most improved player. He was a fan favorite. His endorsements became more prevalent, and Memphis, they became a major draw television-wise for basketball, mainly because of him. But since all of that success, Ja's been in multiple incidents with guns and off-the-court stuff that doesn't represent the NBA well.
With the strap, with that iron. He likes pulling out that iron. That's why he gets criticized.
5 alleged incidents in like 1 calendar year. Most notably the one last year in March where he was holding a gun on camera in a club in Denver. Seemed extremely apologetic about it, got suspended for 8 games, had that weird interview with Jalen Rose, and then 2 months later, right after being eliminated from the playoffs and addressing him being a distraction for the team game during the season, he's back on camera with another gun. Now he's suspended for 25 games of the following season, a whole new look team, which could possibly set that team back a little further. But somehow
he's not
whole new
the public league in any public league or team. What? So he can't be with the team? He can't practice? Bro, this is cheating at that point. Just suspend him for 25 games and let him practice with the team,
which could possibly set
cheating
that team
at this
back
point
a little further. But somehow he's not even the most criticized player in his draft. Zion.
Hey Zion, yeah, you should have told your girl not to post that video. It was over. It went downhill from there, man. They ran on that quick and took over.
Zion Williamson has played 29 games total. In his career now, he averages 30 games a year in an 82-game season. The Pelicans, they've made the playoffs or the play-in twice since he's been there. He hasn't been a part of any of their action. And what always makes Zion so frustrating is how dominant the Pelicans have been when he's on the court, and even how solid they've been without him. Last year, that team was literally at the top of the West in that little 2-month stint with Zion. Even with them being 3 games below 500 without him, they had a plus 28-point differential in a 53-game sample size. They hold down the fort as much as possible. This man is on
but that's half of this year. They ain't make the playoffs this year.
Best young teams in the league with a lot of young talent in extremely important areas. He's literally the only thing holding that team back, and that's why he gets slammed. Russell Westbrook has always been one of the more polarizing players in the NBA.
What does polarizing mean? You mean
but
the best?
This level of criticism, it went through the roof once he joined LeBron, and most important,
that's what they did the same thing with Kuzma, bro. Every team that LeBron is on, someone always gotta take the blame. It's gonna be Kuzma, it's gonna be J.R. Smith, this time it was Westbrook. Who else? Who team? He's gonna be on Mario Chalmers when he was with the Heat. Someone always gotta take the blame. Like LeBron fans are toxic, then you mix them with Lakers fans. That's just dumpster fire right there, bro.
His style, we knew it never fit that roster. Russ is way too turnover prone, he's way too ball dominant, and he's way too inefficient to fit with that team. And on top of all of that, his contract was massive. Unfairly, he got killed for Rob Pelinka trading away all of their depth and him not being able to live up to the trade. And it made him low-hanging fruit for the better part of 2 years. Now,
low-hanging fruit? What's that mean?
He's in a great situation. But 5 teams in 5 years, Russ, he's had it hard.
5 teams in 5 years? No, not 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 teams.
Okay,
bro, this doesn't count. The Lakers traded him. Look, they could trade him without him knowing. OKC asked OKC for a trade. He got traded to Houston. He asked Houston for a trade. He got traded to Washington. He asked the Wizards for a trade. He got traded to the Lakers. He asked to go to these teams. He asked OKC to go to Houston. He asked Houston to go to Washington. And he asked Washington to go to the Lakers. So it's not his fault. The only time it was his fault was not really, so nothing is his fault. It's just the Lakers told him without him knowing. That's the problem. So it's not Russ's fault.
Where he was loved.
He told him to do it.
Ben Simmons, he's the player that we all had so much
like he's not trash. Playing him like he trash, bro.
But it seemed like he peaked damn near as a rookie, and currently it looks like he lost all of his confidence.
He back now. That's according to him. He back now. That's what I like to see. You know, Ben Simmons is one of my favorite players in the league when he's healthy and aggressive. He's one of my favorite players. Because he can do everything on court. He just can't shoot. He's like probably a mix of LeBron and Magic Johnson, but without the shooting.
Emphasis. Nobody's really mad at Ben Simmons for not shooting threes specifically. Yeah, that would be nice, but that's not what anybody's really expecting. It's just the fact that he's gotten progressively unaggressive in general, scoring the ball. His field goal attempts has steadily gone down since he joined the league, regular season and the playoffs. And he never really added anything to his bag offensively since his rookie year, which predictably led to massive playoff letdowns. And currently, it looks like he's on the worst contract in the
766.
Speaking of worst contracts,
triple single, Draymond.
Also a player that gets slammed by players, legends, fans, everybody, mainly because of the money he makes versus the value he really brings. I'm sorry, it's just the facts. Offense and defense, it's not equal in basketball. And the Timberwolves, they're paying him
why you shoot like that?
Plus annually to be 90th in points per game a night. And that just doesn't sit well with a lot of fans. And defensively, whether it's fair or not, because he played with some bad defenders in Utah, some people think he's overvalued there, and that's where he makes his money. On top of all of that, he was recently traded last summer for this.
you trade all this for Gobert? I'm gonna try to get an extra player too if I'm giving up all this.
Insane package, which obviously added more slander and critiques to everything he's not as a quote-unquote star. So that's why he gets slammed. Anthony Davis, he gets heat to me for 3 reasons.
Anthony Davis, he just gets injured a lot, unfortunately. That's why he probably gets criticized. That's it.
Lakers, he plays with LeBron, and he's a bit too inconsistent for that limelight. Inconsistent with his health. Since winning that championship, AD, he's missed 15-game-plus stretches 4 times in the last 3 seasons. 4 times he had to miss 15 consecutive games. He's way too good and way too valuable to that team to miss that amount of time consistently.
He's injured, not his fault though.
So,
yeah, I think it's not his fault.
With how dominant he is, offensively,
it's just him landing the wrong way. People falling on to him and whatnot.
A little up and down. In last year's playoffs, the first 9 games was pretty much a roller coaster. Big games,
I remember that, yeah.
And then kind of mid lackluster games where he would have like 15 points. So with the team he plays for and the legend he plays for, he doesn't really get to let up. And inconsistencies is truly the focal point.
What's going on with this hairline over here, bro? It looks crisp from this angle right here on the. It's his left side, but his right side looks. He just messed up. It's fading away slowly but surely. AD going bald, buddy. Old head life, here you come.
The focal point of all of his criticism. Kyrie Irving, even with how magical and how dynamic he is.
Kyrie just gets criticized because he missed too many games. That's the only reason why people criticize him, because he missed too many games for their liking.
Individually, he just hasn't been able to shake the label of not being a winning player without LeBron. Boston, they got better without him. Brooklyn, they couldn't keep him on the court.
So same thing with Kevin. You say same thing with Kevin Durant. He ain't win a chip ever since he left Golden State.
He ironically had a better record with Brooklyn without him. Last year, it wasn't his fault at all. But Dallas, they imploded once they traded for him. Also, Kyrie, we know he's been one of the more criticized athletes for his beliefs and how he's gone about him, and really his.
They just mad because he missed games. That's all. That's all.
And him
ain't trying to figure out why.
Not really being a dependable player. That's why he gets slammed. Kevin Durant, he gets his heat for like the 3 S's: sensitivity, him being on super teams, and Steph. Kevin Durant, he's always going at it.
On Twitter. You got the T, buddy, on Twitter.
Some Joe on Twitter about his resume. Kevin Durant, he always finds himself on some crazy team on paper where it looks like they're predominant favorites. And oddly enough, Kevin Durant, since leaving Steph, it seems like the internet put him in this odd competition.
That's what they said. That's what they said. That's why he asked for a trade last summer. That's what they said. He asked for a trade last summer because he got mad the Warriors won a championship. So he said, he told the Nets to trade him last summer.
About who was actually more valuable.
At least that's what I saw and heard.
To that team. At least that's what the internet did. If you guys like this video, the man that's probably the most criticized, I probably left off this list, LeBron. And that's because we numb to that. A man made a whole career off of that. Follow my social media sites, turn on post notifications, do it.